or whether you're sick. If you're healthy, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But if you're sick, you got two things to worry about. Whether you're going to get better, whether you're going to get worse. You get better, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But if you get worse, you got two things to worry about. Whether you're going to live, whether you're going to die. If you live, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But if you die, you got two things. Whether you're going to heaven, whether you're going to hell. If you go to heaven, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But if you go to hell, you got two things to worry about. Original or extra crispy? That's
Shout out to my man. Everybody, welcome to the page. Shout out to him, man. You always got two fucking things to worry about, man. Say that, if not more. That's the life of being an adult in 2025. You always got something to worry about. Always something to worry about, whether that be bills, health, family's health, domestic situations, relationship, love, money, job security, location, housing, spending quality time with friends, family members. It's always something to worry about. So shout out to my man there. That was pretty clever and pretty funny there. But like I said, everybody, welcome to the show. This is your host here, Lord of Lips, with another installment of this live stream shit that I do. You know, I do it occasionally. I haven't been here. I haven't said much since, I think, Saturday. And boy, has there been a massive change in a lot of things since Saturday. As you guys know, over the weekend, the U.S. decided to intervene in this war between Iran and Israel. And we allegedly struck, well, not allegedly, I shouldn't say allegedly, let me be clear. We did strike nuclear facilities, but it is now being alleged that we did not destroy the nuclear capability of these facilities. So that's a topic that I'll say for a little bit later. But we did definitely strike the facility. So we did intervene in the war in that aspect. Now, we haven't legally declared war with Iran or officially kind of endorsed Israel. We still are standing on the same line that we've been standing on, which is Israel has the right to defend itself, and Iran is not allowed to have nuclear capability. So, but we've seen things escalate from there. We've had going on 15 days of exchanges. Well, it was 12 days back during the weekend of exchanges between Iran and Israel at the time, or should I say Iran, because it's really pronounced Iran. And I also want to know if people pronounce Qatar as Qatar or Qatar. It's those two words, it's Iran and Qatar, that always kind of trip a lot of people up. But I say Iran and I say Qatar. But I know some people say Qatar and some people say Iran. But anyways, there has been a multitude of exchanges between those nations for a while now. They've been fighting for a good grip now, but over the 12 days, it really intensified. We've seen Tel Aviv completely destroyed. We've seen Tehran be evacuated, so forth and so forth. But this weekend, we did complete Mission Midnight Hammer, I think it was called, Mission Midnight Hammer, where we were able to sneak some B-2 bombers in all the way over to the Middle East there, undetected. We were able to refuel. We were able to refuel, recharge, do a whole bunch of shit undetected and stuff like that, which was a nice show of strength if you're the U.S. Army. So shout out to the U.S. Army for being able to show that force of strength there, that it goes undetected and had the ability to set off the B-2 bombers, the bunker buster bomb that was set off to destroy Iran's nuclear capabilities. Now we get to today, or yesterday, I should say, where it was reported by Trump through Truth Social that he said 37 hours in the air, which is incredible, undetected. I think they went from Wisconsin, I want to say, or maybe Utah, Wisconsin, somewhere there, all the way over to the Middle East, undetected. And the whole idea of the 2-week kind of period for Trump to think about things was obviously a ploy to kind of let Iran's guard down for them to complete this mission. And the mission was successful as far as troops on the ground being returned. I mean, obviously there's no troops on the ground, but people being returned back to the state safely, safe and sound. So as far as that goes, successful mission. However, there is disputes on Iran's capabilities after this. Now, Iran tweeted on their page shortly after it happened, like, nana, nana, boo, boo, y'all didn't get our shit. And now, as we know, this isn't an Iran's official military page. Like, it's not somebody speaking on behalf of Iran. It's kind of like a troll page. I don't know. This page, you guys should follow it if you haven't. It's hilarious. I don't know who the fuck is behind this page, but the page is funny. And but for everything that we have seen, we know the Ayatollah was in the bunkers, not the bunker that was bombed, but because that was a nuclear facility, but he's been in a bunker. Everything that we've heard from the prime minister, the minister of defense, and all that stuff in Iran is that A, they didn't agree to no ceasefire. B, y'all ain't stopped shit. And it's that classic, haha, you got hit me in my face, or haha, I didn't hurt type shit. So, now Trump, being the great narcissist that Trump is and the great liar that he is, had to come out and claim, that everything was great, mission successful, the show of force was great by the United States, everything is good, the nuclear facility is destroyed, yada, 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 yada. However, today, as it's being reported on all platforms, that Iran is just, what am I seeing? A few months, I think 90 days. Now they're 90 days away from being able to rebuild that nuclear facility or still have nuclear capabilities. Now, we know that this stems from Iran's enriched uranium. And they supposedly had 60% enriched uranium, which puts them at about, if they wanted to attach it to nuclear warheads or anything like that, puts them at about a couple of weeks away from being able to obtain a nuclear weapon. Now, there's a level of nuclear or enriched uranium you're allowed to carry to, patrol your citizens and be able to do everything you need to do as far as technology and kind of, those things there. So, which I think that level is 25 to 30%. Now, anything when you get to the 60% range or higher, it gets a little bit dangerous, and that's when the IAEP goes in and investigates, what's all going on. They want to look all through what's going on there, because allegedly, we're some, global policemen, and we have the ability and capability of doing that and controlling who has nuclear weapons and stuff. So that's kind of the update as far as that goes. Now, you guys know me. I'm not here to report no fucking news. I'm here to talk shit and really give my opinion on where things go and pretty much how I see things. And from my vantage point, I knew Trump reported on a ceasefire yesterday, right? Trump reported on a ceasefire yesterday. I got when I seen that he reported on a ceasefire, I was very, very skeptical on the ceasefire. We had not seen reports from Iran agreeing to the ceasefire. Even I think Bibi Netanyahu and his cabinet and stuff was really, really, really particular on their public affairs on how they wanted to be seen about this ceasefire. So I don't even think at the time they came out publicly and said, yes, we agree to the ceasefire, yada, yada, yada. Now, besides that, Trump does what Trump does. He says the ceasefire is complete. I think he kind of jumped the gun and shit like that. I don't even know. I doubt that the ceasefire was complete. But shortly after that, we get that these two powerhouses weren't done bombing at each other. So over the night, they still are hitting each other and violating this alleged ceasefire that only Trump apparently seen. And this is what leads to where we're at today with Mr. Donald Trump. Let me see.
Israel said that Iran violated the peace agreement and the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you understand that? Does the American citizens understand that? We have we have two countries that have been fighting so long and hard, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I think we get the first F-bomb ever dropped by a president without a hot mic. You know, they picked this up on national television. They even had to censor it after the fact. And when they reported on it, they kind of bleeped out. Even the wording on all telecasts and stuff like that was like, you know, Trump says both countries don't know what they're doing. They didn't even, you know, include that he dropped the F-bomb. So Trump seems very irritated here. He was on his way to the NATO meeting. And he looked like he was very, very, very irritated because he wants a peace prize. He wants the Nobel Peace Prize for being able to solve the longstanding feud and longstanding war between Israel and Muslim nations, which we all grew up and we all know, and you know, people have said it for years and years and years. We need peace in the Middle East. We need peace in the Middle East. This won't happen until we find peace in the Middle East. La 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 la. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. It's just not going to happen. So Israel's still saying that, you know, or they're you know, we're dealing with a whole bunch of propaganda. I just want to shoot it straight with everybody. They're alleging, you know, us along with Israel is alleging that there's terror cells all in the United States that Iran's going to unleash, and Israel will, you know, they're playing the whole victim thing. Let me get you off screen. I'm sorry. They're playing the whole victim thing as they do that. Oh, you know, if Iran, we'll see over the next couple hours if Iran doesn't, you know, shoot off any bombs at us and this and that. There will be something that happens. Trust me. Israel does not want peace. They want to completely eradicate and destroy Iran. You know, that's just what it is. I got a comment here. Someone tell Trump this is a biblical war. You will not be able to get it done, dude. Just stop. Yeah, and for not, you know, I don't blame the man. Now, for people, what's really interesting to me, Shane, is how people look at this, because I'm glad you brought that up. Trump is supposedly a God-fearing man. I don't know how much of that I've seen. I think he's Catholic, I want to say. But you know, if you're a Christian man in this nation and stuff like that, and you allegedly, you know, I mean, because a lot of our politicians and people of power support Israel based off of the you know, biblical assumption that, you know, this is what we are supposed to do, and God will bless whoever blesses the nation of Israel. Excuse me. So understanding that these people allegedly go to Bible study or have some sort of denomination that they believe in, I don't understand how people read prophecy and read like Revelations and Matthew and John and stuff like that and don't kind of correlate the two of what's going on. We all know that, you know, when Israel's surrounded by armies and stuff like that, it was one of the signs that they gave for you know, Armageddon. And to your point, Shane, I don't know how much they really correlate the two, or if they do, or, you know, like I alleged maybe a month ago, we also do have to keep in mind that there are fractions of people in the media and corporations and conglomerates and so forth that their job is to usher in this prophecy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's like people are just playing a character in some Truman Show episode. and their job in this is their job in this. And so you could look at it both ways. I mean, there's obviously an alternative way to look at it that people just aren't aware, and they may not believe in it. They say they believe, and they don't believe, or they don't understand. That's definitely a possibility, and it's plausible. And then there's also the possibility that they don't correlate the two. He reads the Bible, he reads scripture, and he doesn't see his place in it. And then there's also that there's actually Zionists, there's Christians, there's even the Ayatollah and Islam and stuff like that. There's people like that literally work hand in hand with Satanists too. They work hand in hand with occults and stuff like that to usher in the Messiah, to usher in the second coming, to usher in this prophecy. Shane says, yeah, I don't get it either, because they're completely both operating on the premise of this is our land given to us by God. So how they don't factor that in, I just really don't understand. Me either. I get it. You have to do something. But when you really understand that, you don't get so frustrated like Trump got. I know. And the thing is, about that is that power and ego blinds. That's one of the things that it does. It literally blinds you. And it's so easy for us to sit and say, and again, I'm not throwing this man no rope, because I totally agree with you, Shay. Now, I said it at the top. I don't know how people don't see it like that, but we know that ego and money and power blinds people. You could have such tunnel vision and be so blinded, and we don't really understand it until we understand it. It's one of those things you don't really understand until you understand. Like they say, you never stop wanting, it's almost like there's some threshold as far as money goes, because we all sit around and say, oh, I just want to be financially stable. I just want to be comfortable. I just want to be this, and I just want to be that, until we get to that level of which we thought would sustain our comfortability and our financial stability. And we get there and we're like, it didn't scratch my itch. You know what I'm saying? It didn't get the job done. I want more. I want just a little bit more. And then that cycle continues over and over and over until you find yourself in this revolving door of capitalism. And you find yourself being blinded by these things that I'm mentioning. And that's where they get the term that money is the root of all evil. And because money just exposes the ability. I remember watching Kanye West on Joe Rogan episode, and he said, he preferenced it and said, man, this is kind of like a silly question. Hold on, I think I got comments on Facebook. Hold on. Yeah. Anyways, he said, how much does the world cost? And he said, I know it's a silly question. And Joe laughed. And Kanye said, no, for real, think about it, And he kind of went down this list of things and global conglomerates and corporations and stuff like that. But he said, no matter what we do, we will never produce enough or have enough money to be able to buy the world. And you got to understand that there's people out there that don't see it like that as well. There's families, there's bloodlines, there's big corporations and stuff like that actually do think that they want to hog up all the resources. And when you understand that all money is a currency that is based off of goods being sold that the earth produces, or that we get goods from the earth, we get resources from the earth that we then sell and monetize to even create other inventions and stuff as well, right? Can you really put a price on wood? Can you put a price on wood when I think, to the best of our knowledge, there's not wood that you could find in the known universe, as far as our understanding, out there, right? And so, how much worth can you put on wood? How can you put a value on gold when the earth produces gold? You know what I'm saying? There's so much of those resources out there like that. So money being the root to all evil is just that when you have resources, when you have money, when you have the funds being rich, or you have unlimited access to wealth and stuff like that, or even if it's limited, but it's a good pool. It just exposes things that were deep down rooted in you anyway, because you have access to those things, right? And so that's where you get money being the root to all evil. So I say all that to say, Mr. Trump here is blinded. He's blinded. I know some hard right conservatives that I say, like really, really hard right people that think that he's the second coming, that this whole Trump second administration, second chance at it again, was literally ushering in the Messiah. So I'm just saying that as well, that there's a lot of avenues to look at this at. But long story short, he did seem very, very frustrated in this clip. He did go off to the NATO meeting. And he did allude to being frustrated with Bibi Netanyahu and Israel and that whole conglomerate, as well as Iran. And he even said, fair enough, he said that, I'm really irritated with Israel because even if Iran just shot one little rocket that was misguided and didn't even, land or do any harm, so what? That might have been one that got away. It's no need for y'all, I say a 12-hour ceasefire, and you guys to go bomb it, you guys to try to like empty out payloads and get your last little licks in. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you break two bitches up, and they break up a little bit, but as you guys are breaking it up, they just, one girl's just sticking it to the other girl a little bit. That's essentially what's going on here. So we'll see. I don't necessarily, we're getting conflicting reports out of Iran for sure about this ceasefire. We know the Ayatollah and some of their pages and stuff is laughing, saying that the president begged for a ceasefire. But, this all could be part of public relations as well. We know that these people have to save face. And I think a funny kind of smart thing that Trump did do was he, in his Truth Social post, he likes to blow the cover off a lot of like behind the scenes shit that goes on first before his cover gets blown off. And so I'll explain myself here. He said in his Truth Social post, he said, shout out to Iran for letting me know, giving us a heads up on the strikes that they were going to do at the U.S. Embassy over in the Middle East, right? And so Trump kind of blew that cover off, basically saying that they alerted me, they gave me notice. So it's not the smoke that y'all think it's smoke. And what that does, we got to understand in these acts of war and in this exchange and stuff like that, it's basically fucking up their PR, because on their end, their job is for their people to show a force of strength, like we show a force of strength. Our force of strength was shown when we fucked up their, their nuclear sites, and we made it home safe and sound, and everything was good, right? That's our show of strength. Oh, we got this kind of arsenal. We can do this without being detected. Their force of strength was supposed to be in their response. And Trump also said in his Truth Social post that he thought it was a weak response. So that's the funny, clever, calculated thing that Trump does do, that he does deserve credit for. Now, I think the best way to activate Trump and get Trump in a bad scenario is really my prediction on most Geminis out there. And we got to understand Trump is a Gemini, so keep that in mind. They're there's two sides to these people, multiple sides. And one thing that I've alleged a long time out there, in order to beat a Gemini, you have to turn the Gemini against theirself. And that is a strategy that you can do with Mr. Trump. As we see here, he was very, very frustrated with Bibi Netanyahu and Iran, because he felt like he brokered a deal between them, a ceasefire between them. And when you play him in that sense, he feels like he played himself. He feels like he got played, right? And that's your best bet at getting at somebody like Trump, is playing him against himself. You have to do these manipulation tactics. When he says shoot high, you got to shoot low. But you got to also make him believe that you agreed with him about shooting high. You have to play him against himself. You got to get him to self-doubt. You got to get him to second guess himself, because it becomes a war within himself. And those Geminis have the ability of going to war against themselves a lot. So that's really my strategy, my advice. I don't know if I should be giving that advice. I mean, I don't even know, my voice is not even powerful enough to really move a needle in that aspect. But we'll see. Iran is definitely, we're getting different reports out of Iran as far as the ceasefire goes. I've said on here countless of times, once this ball gets rolling, it never, Shane uses the quote that you can't put the toothpaste back into the tube, right? And that's essentially where we at. We go from last week, my last episode, I mean, literally the day before we struck their nuclear facilities, me, Shane, and Hunter sat on Hill talking about the Nimitz naval ship and kind of like a scenario in which will drag us into this war. And we kind of like try to lay out some scenarios where we thought that we might get dragged into this war. And here we are. And then that's what leads me to my irritation and frustration with Israel, is that we have to understand that their job, Netanyahu's job, we talk about all this regime change over in Iran that I want to get to. They talk about regime change and wanting to overthrow this government and yada, 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 yada. And there is some debate about whether we want to do that or not. In fact, I'm going to pull up Trump's tweet here about MIGA. And I said MIGA for everybody out there. Let me see. Let me see. I got it pulled up here. All right. Here's the MIGA tweet. It's not politically correct to use the term regime change. But if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MIGA. So this is what Trump is running on now. He wants to make Iran great again. And he is, how I interpret this now, this kind of split people down the middle because it's not politically incorrect to use that term. I don't know. He kind of misworded that. He just meant to say that it's not popular to use the term regime change. Like obviously in today's society and everybody being anti-war, anti-imperialism, and all these anti-things, we don't care about a regime change over in Sudan. We don't care about a regime change in Somalia. We don't care about a regime change in Syria and Cuba and Haiti. We don't care about that. We want to focus on what we got focused, that we need to focus on. So he meant to say it's not popular to use the term regime change. But if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? So he's basically challenging their people and stuff like that. Now, obviously, it's not a democratically elected government there. So it's that's where we try to feel like we need to usher in different regime changes and help people get have the ability to have those regime changes. Let's see what we have here. Zach, shout out to Zach. Iran was at war with Iraq for 8 years. So if war occurs with us and Iran, it won't end well. Iraq was bankrupt after their war with Iran. That's good study, Zach. And guys, if you remember, okay, I got another comment here. That is what Israel wants to do, is a regime change, in my opinion. I don't know if we necessarily are too hung up on that, but MIGA, that's his dog whistle to Israel that, hey, go ahead, if that makes sense. It definitely makes sense. I'm going to answer both of these here. So Zach is exactly right. And if you guys remember, we used to support Iran during this period when they go to war for Iraq. So it's the classic case where your enemy is my enemy, so we're friends for the time being. That's the classic case of that. You know, your enemy, my enemy, we're cool, right? If we got the same mutual enemy, then we're going to be cool. We'll get this enemy out the way. Classic WWE shit, right? You ever see a triple threat match? Well, when Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and John Cena was in a triple threat match, well, Shawn Michaels and Triple H, more times than not, would just attack John Cena, and then we'll get to each other later, right? So that's Iran, U.S., Iraq policy, right? Iran, U.S., let's go ahead. We'll deal with Iraq. And then me and you going to have some fisticuffs after we get rid of Iraq, right? And then, Shane, as far as what you're saying, I definitely agree. I sit on here in this podcast and I use this platform to shout to the mountaintops, Eretz Israel. It's the greater Israel expansion, right? So this conspiracy, or whatever you want to call it, has been alleged for a long time, right? But as we continue to march closer and closer to clarity in what's going on over in the Middle East, it becomes more and more evident and more clear, to me at least. To me, I can't speak for you, can't speak for y'all, but to me it comes more and more clear that they're annexing this whole territory. They've used this whole method of using enemies of my enemy. They've overthrown mad governments. We know about Colin Powell and the breach in him letting us know about the and Wesley Clark in letting us know about the overthrowing 7 governments in the 7 years or whatever it was supposed to be, right? Iran being the last of this government, right? So they've accomplished a lot of that order. So to me, it's not just coincidence that a lot of that list, or all of that list, 99% of that list has been accomplished, except Iran. And here we are in this predicament, right? And we've known for years now that they've been trying to drag us into this war with Iran. And as far as my vantage point, I haven't said it publicly on any platforms or anything, but I just want to say and this is for the betterment of all of society, right? That Iran should be very, very careful and very, very mindful of taking any bait. And so far, I think they've done a good job because, again, it's a really tough balance to be able to show a sign of force to your people, because Iran can't just completely submit and back down to what's going on, nuclear strikes and Israel striking and all this and all. They have to show a force. That's what you have an army for. That's what you have a military for. Even if you hit sites that are, unoccupied and stuff like that, you must do that to show a force of strength. Right now, as far as we can see, they've just been using ballistic missiles and they've just been striking in Israel, right? No ground operations, nothing like that. These terror cells that are being alleged, we haven't seen that unloaded yet. So again, they have to show force of strength. So I do understand that. However, it's hard that they have to balance this thing because they know that they've been a target for at least for Israel, right? They have been trying to the best of their ability, outside of their chant, death to Israel, death to America, the big Satan, the little Satan, right? They just know us as supporting and funding the occupier of the Palestinians, right? That's what they know us as lobbying for Israel's behalf over in the Middle East. So they look at us like I don't have a good analogy at the top right now. I'm sure I will come up with one. But as far as direct issues with us, there's not much there, right? Iran is not known for even in their history of attacking other nations. Now, one could say they've used their proxies, and you're guilty by association. You didn't hit me, but your little cousin hit me, and you're hanging out with your little cousin. So we got to have some issues, right? Now, my whole point is that they have to be careful, because I think that they're trying to avoid this as much as possible, whether that being the fact that they don't have the capability of handling the U.S. force and Israel's force at the same time, or they just genuinely don't want to. It's like that bait thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like that bait thing. It's like, we can exist, and we know we can exist as long as we don't engage in war with you guys, because we know that that's y'all's initiative. It is y'all's initiative to sell this war to the American people and the American public, so y'all have the green light to go ahead and do what y'all need to do, which is remove us. We got the reports. We know that that's what y'all's operative is. So from their vantage point, they have to do a funny thing of balancing peace and peace through strength, right? You have to show some sort of resistance as well. But the funny thing is, with the 21st century and the social media age that we exist in, all Iran has to do is really kind of turn the other cheek in some of these instances, right? if they continue to turn the other cheek, now I'm not saying that this war won't go on and stuff like that, but and they won't be able to sell this war to the American people unless Iran falls for one of these things. And now, again, it wasn't good enough. The news and the propaganda news that is controlled by Zionists out there is now, I've checked CNN, I checked Fox, I checked NBC, ABC, World News, Sky News, this news, that news. And what's all being reported, what's breaking news right now, is that we did not destroy their capabilities of building a nuclear weapon, and they are a few months away from being able to build this nuclear weapon. So again, we get the propaganda coming in, and because it's not enough that we just bombed them and we apparently just almost snuck out. And this is where Trump has to be careful, because even if he's had good intentions and stuff like that and goodwill in what he did as far as destroying their nuclear capabilities, this is where the media and that conglomerate is going to play you against yourself, sir. And now we're in a situation where you allegedly brokered a ceasefire, which we don't know. We're not sold on, right? But Hunter brought up a point a few days ago, man. Like, what if Trump, he gave them, because obviously those enriched uranium facilities were abandoned and stuff like that. And what if Trump did what he had to do to shut Israel up, right? So we took away their nuclear capabilities, right? Knowing that he really didn't, follow me. Knowing that he really didn't take away completely their nuclear capabilities, but he's going to report that. He's going to drop the bombers that he did, report to the news and the outlets and to the world, job done. Now ceasefire time, right? And it puts Israel in a situation to where y'all don't have no other legible reason to continue this little exchange that y'all are going on, right? We destroyed their nuclear capabilities. We jumped in. There's no other excuses right now, right? But now, like Shane said, now we're getting reports about MIGA and make Iran great again. And so that propaganda is starting. It's a wildfire here. And now we're getting reports from all sources that we did not destroy their nuclear capabilities all the way. Sorry, I did not see these comments, guys. Oh, good Lord. Hold on. Let me catch up to the comments. He said, Shane said, this is the kind of nuance if you haven't seen the video I'm speaking on, but I saw a video of a Turkish military official explaining how the war will be fought, and he carved out the northern west part of it. Okay. Iran, which is telling to me of how the rest of the world looks at the situation, meaning they are seeing Iran be torn apart and land being vacant soon. Right. There is land for sale everywhere, guys, and not just in the cornfields of Ohio and the Midwest states, right? There's land for sale everywhere. There's a big, I coined it a few months ago. There is a land grab being had. They're shaking up. Their job is to shake up the new world order, right? And in those cases and stuff like that, there's land grabs being had everywhere. I mean, we talked about the North Carolina hurricane situation, not to mention the LA situation with the Altadena fires that people just suddenly totally forgot about, and the whole clip of Gavin Newsom and the insurance companies and kind of, if you guys remember that LA is supposed to host the Olympics in 2028, and they're supposed to have a smart city. This was already in the works before this fire happened, that LA was supposed to have this smart city going on. And, one thing that we know, controlled demolition, controlled fires and stuff like that, a lot of times natural disasters help with demolition projects and stuff like that over the cost of having the demolition project, right? So yeah, there's big land grabs going on. The Ukraine situation is a big land grab. See whose hands is all in the pockets of the Ukraine and Russia situation. You got BlackRock and Blackstone and all these big conglomerates and stuff like that already investing in the reconstruction of these places that are at war. That's kind of weird. Apparently, we've only set Iran's nuclear program back a few months, i.e., they still have the capabilities to make a weapon. Exactly, Zach. That is what is being reported now, because, again, I'm telling you, it's not good enough. Operation Midnight Hammer is not good enough. That didn't sell the American people, and it might have done worse damage as far as selling this war to the American people, because the American people, I mean, a lot of them are split, right? Because it's Mr. Donald Trump who did it. Hold on, I got some comments. I thought I had comments, but it should be done, right? It should be done. He said mission complete, Mission Impossible complete. He's Tom Cruise. He wants a Nobel Peace Prize. But now you got this propaganda that's being reported that no, the job is not done. So again, we're back to square one, and all we've accomplished is literally our intervention in this war, our direct intervention in this war, and it's going to be this is going to be classified as a Trump failure, right? If we did what we did and did not knock out their nuclear capabilities, all we did was show our hand, right? You did Midnight Hammer, you did the 2-week, kind of ploy that you did. You threw rocks and hid your hand, and now you blew your own cover that, on whose side you actually was taken, and you didn't even get the job done. So now it's time to really sell this war to the American people and stuff like that. And now we got deployments, right? We got people on the ground. We got embassies and stuff like that over in the Middle East that is now targeted and going to be hit. And again, like I said at the top, Iran has to be very, very careful, because if they want any chance of real peace and showing to the United Nations, in the ICC, any of those things, their best bet is to continue to kind of take the high road at this point, because, the world's watching. The whole world is watching, and this is the perfect period for both sides. We got to see who's who. We got to see who's the bad guy. Scooby-Doo and them done a great thing, teaching us a great lesson during those episodes where they would drag you through a whole 15, 20-minute episode just to find out who the bad guy was, right? And that's essentially what goes on in our society, but in a more expanded version of that, right? It takes us a long, long while to see the writing on the wall, and sometimes takes us to see it in Braille, to see who the real enemy is. And sometimes you find out it's yourself in situations. You find out it's the people closest to you in situations. Sometimes you find out it's your loved ones in situations. Sometimes you find out it's your own government in situations. So Iran's best capability or ability to remain stabilized in their position and keep that regime going is to try to hide this one out and force the hand of Israel to show itself as far as and the U.S. at this point. That's their best bet, because if they do something to provoke this war and Israel and the United States are able to sell this to the American people, then it's not going to be good for nobody. It's just not going to be good for anybody involved, including Iran. Now we could say they might have some capabilities. They might have a secret nuclear program already in the tucks and stuff like that. But again, I say it all the time: when the elephants wage war, it's the grass and the ants that suffer. So it ain't gonna be good for none of us. It's absolutely not gonna be good. Is there terror cells that they can unleash in the United States? I don't know. Is that propaganda? I don't know. I think it's propaganda. But if it is, if they are able to do that, again, that's not good for us. We're the casualties of war. So it's nothing that I would like to see myself. And I think it's the best interest of everybody to prolong this as long as possible. I didn't even mention anything other than at the top of the show what God might have to say about this. And that's where everybody's problem is what does God have to say about all of this? And by the way, UAPs and UFOs and motherships and shit like that, if there's a time for you to be flying over nuclear facilities and getting involved and shutting down power plants and shit like that, it will be now. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Is there anything else anybody wants to touch on about this situation? I'm going to have a lot more on the situation tomorrow when I have some guests on, as we could go far and back or back and forth with each other about this. But Shane, I will watch that video. And I do want, Zach says, I worry about what this will do to gas prices. Yeah, and that's really interesting. And that's the thing that, right, we thought we would see the immediate impact on. But I guess, oil right now is down. It's down almost, I think, $7 to $8. It's at $70 a barrel right now. Gas prices are even right now and may even see decrease for a little bit of time. However, I do want to caution people and everybody out there. This is due to the fact that the strait has not been blocked just yet. That is under consideration as we speak, that they might block this strait, which will then increase the likelihood of oil and gas being risen. Gas prices will skyrocket the moment they shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, that's exactly what is being. Now, we do know that China is involved in this, and they would like see China plays this role. I'm gonna show you the role China plays. This is China. We love China. Hold on. Let me show you the role China plays. This is China. Anytime there's some shit popping off in the Middle East, China comes up like this. China is the jaws of geopolitics. All right. China is the jaws of geopolitics. They just kind of survey. They do weird little demonstrations in the sea. They do weird demonstrations in the Air Force. They do weird little. They do show of strengths. Let's see what we got here. Damn, I got a big one. Shane says the fact that the gas prices are dropping is a key indicator for anyone that would be looking at this from a stock standpoint. That this is the point where you would buy the dip before it goes up. That is a great point. That is a great point. And we got to remember, Russia said that they will give weapons to Iran and fight this war. Yes, they've met with Putin. Putin didn't classify what kind of weapons, but I've seen that it was reported. People was freaking out. He's going to give them nuclear codes and give them nukes and stuff like that. We'll see. I thought there was another comment. But yes, Shane. Now we know that, and I wasn't even going to get into this, but we're here. Now we know that Trump has already worked with the Saudis. He's also, wanted us to drill, and it would take us a little bit of, adjustment to be able to sustain the amount that we might need to continue doing what the business that we need to do. But, over down in Texas and California and stuff like that, we're underneath a whole fuck ton of oil, right? And a lot of oil. We just don't have the proper oil production to do what we need to do. So this is kind of like where it gets politicized in drilling and fracking and fossil fuels versus clean energy. And that's where this kind of comes into play at. And, these guys thinking years in advance, if we know that I said it last year, I'm like, if we're gearing up for war and stuff like that, it is in our best interest. This is putting America first, right? And putting America first would be our infrastructures, our manufacturing, onshoring, our manufacturing plants, bringing jobs back to the states, also automobile industries, including not electric vehicles, but like non-electrical vehicles. And then also the production of that, which includes fossil fuels, fracking, drilling, all of those things there, right? So we I don't know if we're necessarily prepared for it at this moment, but we have the possibility of being ready for it at some point. Now, obviously, we could go through a long period to where it actually destroys the economy, inflation rises, gas prices rise, and shit gets too out of hand. And I would love to talk about the kind of Doge, where that's at today, the federal, the GDP, because it's just like kind of like a afterthought. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was at the top of the year. That was the everything Doge this, Doge that, spending this, inflation that, inflation this, inflation that, cut tax cuts and all this and that. And it's kind of like, on the back burner at this point. Zach said Alaska has a ton of oil underground as well, right? So yeah, we just got to work on the infrastructure to be able to produce this. And but America's divided on a lot of those policies and fracking and drilling and all that stuff there. But I will say to the American people, it is in our best interest in the 21st century in 2025 for us to be able to manufacture and produce our own goods, right? At this point, because there is a war coming. I mean, there's already a war now. We're already in war, but there's going to come a time in the very, very near future to where we are going to wish that we are having all of our control of our own production, because we're not going to be able to rely on these other nations. We are making enemies far and wide. We're making enemies everywhere we go. And if that's going to be the case, if we continue to try to hang on to this American empire, as we should, right? We've already swatted a bee's nest. We've already swatted a bee's nest in funding certain wars. The first chess move has already been made when Russia invaded Ukraine, right? That was a chess move that was made to really reveal everybody's hands, right? And then everybody had to get in place on the side of the fence that they stood on and what moves needed to be taken next. So now we're seeing NATO meetings, G7 summits, and all types of stuff like that to see. Have you looked into Trump's proposal to building this Golden Dome? Said it's going to take about $175 billion to finish. Interesting time frame to say that. Many military officials believe it's impossible. Yes, I got another comment. At least to finish in the time span in which he's saying. Yes. In order for that Golden Dome to be effective, we would have had to start working on that Golden Dome in his first administration. We need that bitch tomorrow. We need that bitch absolutely tomorrow. But I've said on here a lot of times, I don't know how y'all feel about it. I don't know how I feel about an oligarch in which we live in, having a dome. Now, obviously, this Golden Dome wouldn't be an actual dome like we see on The Simpsons. It would be more so like what Israel has, but better, hopefully, because we don't want the paper dome. We want something a little bit better. But even some sort of force field around our coastlines and perimeters and stuff like that. Now, one could say it will help with immigration. Could you imagine that? And it will help secure the borders and all this and all that. But I don't know how I feel about that, because that really gives a lot more power to whether we can people being able to travel and come and go as they please, right? If there's some sort of field around it, controlling the airspace like that. Now, obviously, if it's anything like Israel's, it would be an anti-missile detector that is only activated when needed, when it senses and detects missiles, right? But I just suspect that ours would be have a lot more capabilities. And I also am under the impression that even whatever they say they're using this Golden Dome for, and whatever the manufacturing of this Golden Dome is about, I never believe that. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't believe that. He said, New York Times, Israel and Iran claim victory as ceasefires. Okay, this is reported right now. Israel and Iran claim victory as ceasefires take hold. So both sides seemed like that they think that they got to win, right? And like I said, Iran may be taking this as a win because it's like, okay, we showed our force of strength. We struck Israel back. They punched us. We punched us. We just didn't get our ass whooped. Good. We won. Israel's like, okay, nuclear facilities are destroyed. We snuck some bombs in there, yada, yada, yada. That's all we wanted this whole time, right? They really want regime change, but, we won. So, and Trump is like, motherfucker, I want a Nobel Peace Prize, from this. That's what I want. I want a peace prize because I got peace in the Middle East. But yeah, Shane, I'm not real sold on any domes or anything like that, along with the fact that we continue to sleepwalk into Terminator Judgment Day. Like, we continue to just sleepwalk towards this path of artificial intelligence and the big beautiful bill and the passing of the legislation for states not to be able to, kind of dictate some of the likeness and parameters of this artificial intelligence. So, I mean, we're just getting too far off into like a futuristic world to where I think things are like we are literally on the cusp of complete evolution. And I know we've talked about it on here countless of times about automation and the job workforce and certain industries and military operations as far as it comes with artificial intelligence. But I even seen a thing, like I know there's a thing out there right now, like these little apps and stuff where you can do artificial intelligence voice takeovers. And I know people do the artificial intelligence as far as the face swaps and all that shit is real fun and cute now. But you guys got to understand that allegedly the Garden of Eden and the forbidden fruit is actually, one could say, this is my interpretation, that it's the tree of knowledge, right? And that tree of knowledge is technology. And God knew that putting certain technology in our hands, the technology of the gods, putting that into our hands too early, too soon, before we have complete understanding of our purpose and our mission here, becomes a double-edged sword. And it becomes a double-edged sword because in one instance, these things are good, right? Telephones, Waymos, robots, artificial intelligence, Alexa, Siri, they have their great positives. And it's something straight out of a Black Mirror episode, right? We've seen the Black Mirror episodes to where, it has its perks, it has its benefits, But then any show we've ever seen, any movie we've ever seen, we've never seen one to where it didn't have some underlying evil ulterior motive or some evil decadence that it becomes, right? Or it doesn't deteriorate into some evil kind of story. And that's where technology always kind of leads, because it's just us weaponizing it's us having the ability to kind of shortchange things that give us the human experience, right? And when you're able to shortchange things that give you the human experience, like for instance, podcasts are big, right? Streaming is big, YouTube is big, and all that stuff is good. There's countless of information out there, and I've said on here countless of times, we live in the information era, right? Back in the day, you used to have to go to the library and you would have to cross-reference and you would have to, do a whole bunch of things in order for you to get proper information. Today it's so accessible. It's so accessible, right? But what that does is we now live in a society to where, I got a comment here. We could become like Planet of the Apes, except without the apes ruling. Primitive society if technology gets too out of control. Exactly what I'm trying to say is that it becomes to where it can get too out of control. And once again, it's kind of like war. Once that ball gets rolling, there's really no turning back. Especially when you got artificial intelligence that becomes self-realizing. You got artificial intelligence that programs itself into a better version each chance it gets. It comes up with a better version of itself. Once you get into that kind of territory, you got to really start to kind of question and be a little bit concerned on humans' place in that, right? And just as well as just as well as we have dominion over the creatures on the earth, we could very much well be giving birth to the next iteration of that, right? And there's a lot of does the chicken come before the eggs? Does the eggs come before the chicken? All right. There's a lot of, how do you think that the plants that are living organisms on this planet that have existed here a long time before we've made our way here, right? Well, I guess they say trees actually aren't that new, but I mean, trees date back like millions and millions, hundreds of millions of years. But they even say like sharks and stuff existed before trees. But long story short, right? If you're trees and you are now being chopped for timber and chopped for wood, and there's global pollution and all of these different things that are messing with that kind of atmosphere. I mean, that kind of part of our livelihood, and the planet is slowly in a decaying situation, right? But the trees and the plants that are on our planet seen the rise of humans, right? They've actually assisted into our birth, dust to dust, and so they, at the time, they don't know that they are potentially in a roundabout way giving birth to their demise, because plants come, we destroy the plants. That is my analogy for what we can very much well be giving birth to when we are talking about artificial intelligence. And I know that it's very, very fun, and they roll these things out, and it's always the shiny toy. It's always the fun part of this. It's always, oh my God, look at this new feature, look at this and stuff like that. But we have to do a better job as a society, especially at this junction, because we're in a real danger zone. We have to do a better job as a society, really getting together and collectively understanding these better, and also either agreeing to move forward with certain things or disagreeing to move forward with certain things. I think at this point, the technocrats get away with a lot of this stuff. And if you know any supervillain movie and supervillain show and shit like that, or the evil scientists and stuff like that blows up the whole world when they don't get their way. This is how it usually starts, is that these people are so far in advance in their thinking versus the common general public, right? So they're able to ploy us and trick us with little gadgets and the nice features and stuff like that. But they could very much well have a evil ulterior motive with these things, or not. But just because, whether they do or not, the point is we have to see it through the double-edged sword with this technology that we're using. And I talked about the Garden of Eden. I talked about the whole story of Adam and Eve, and what that story really should represent is about the forbidden fruit, the tree of knowledge, and just too much information in the wrong hands at the wrong time could be self-destructive. That's what I got to say when it comes to that. But I really can't remember where I was even fucking going. I think I got a comment on Facebook. Give me 1 second here. I got a message. Oh, please. But yeah, we let me see here. Has anybody heard from Elon Musk? I know that he is in some sort of litigation, or in some this law or some court situation with Sam Altman, his old buddy, his former old buddy, old pal, over the same shit that we're talking about, artificial intelligence and the properties and their mission and stuff like that. And I wonder if there's some sort of gag order on this fucker. I don't know what's going on with Elon Musk, but it's very, very alarming. And I don't want it to be forgotten that he is potentially going out of his way to ignore everything going on. He's been so vocal during the election cycle, before the election cycle, after the election cycle, even when he was in the White House running the government with Doge and stuff like that. He was so vocal every day on Twitter on geopolitics and American politics and everything that was going on in the world. He was up to date. He had jokes for everything. And now it seems like since he got that black eye, since somebody whooped his ass in the White House and they ousted him and his son, he hasn't had much to say. I mean, he's turned back into Rocket Man. He's talking about, I know one of his rockets exploded last week or 2 weeks ago. And now everything on his page is all about that. So, like, I'm just wondering, like, what's going on with the Elon Musk situation? And do we really get in a situation to where we think Trump loves to be the hero in a situation, but I think Elon likes to be the hero in a situation. So, like, is he just kind of trying to sit this shit out? And anybody got an update on Doge? You know, I've done some reading on Doge and shit like that still on what's going on, but it's really, really curious. I mean, it's really, really interesting to see him kind of throw his version of his autistic fit. And speaking of autistic fits, I think that the NBA struggles with autism, and I'll explain it. I'll explain what I mean. The first person that was heavily on my radar for, like, I'm like, they're on the spectrum. Oh, look, I lost all types of viewers. I brought up the word autism and literally 5 people jumped out of the chat. But Kawhi Leonard, I don't know if it's ever been reported. I don't know. Now, I know that he had a death. He, like, either witnessed his father die or some shit like that when he was super young. And they said he hasn't been the same since. But I think that boy is a serious fucking basket. I don't even think, I think he's like nonverbal. You know what I'm saying? I know we joke and, like, then he had that funny guy tag where he had that weird ass laugh. But he shows me extreme signs of autism. And now you got the Oklahoma City Thunder, who I think is a team just full of autistic people. I mean, just absolutely full of them. I mean, could there be a more boring NBA champ? And even their parade, even their game, even the game 7, even the post conference. I mean, even the championship hats were boring. Everything about it was just absolutely boring. And the topic, and now I know that the NBA did report yesterday that, you know, game 7 was the most viewed finals games in 6 years. We don't care. We don't care. Overall, as a finals, it was pedestrian as fuck. It was rookie as fuck. The ratings were down over any year, except maybe outside of the bubble or any, lockout season. And now you can hit me with all your fake game 7 stats and stuff, but we all know that everybody stopped tuning into the game after Halliburton got hurt and tore his Achilles. We all know that. So this is what I'm saying, where they piss on you and tell you it's raining. And it's like, at least for me. Now, I know there's a whole bunch of dummies out there, right? And there might be dummies in the chat, dummies viewing. But for somebody like me who's a little bit more observant, I do a little bit more deep dive in it, and I kind of see shit maybe deeper than what it is. And it's not even about the ratings that they report. You know what I'm saying? I can, before y'all reported any ratings for game 1, I could tell what was going on. I see the media outreaches. I see the blogs picking up shit. I understand how this shit works. And when I see a lack thereof, I understand what's going on. I'm like, oh, this finals ain't popping. No one's talking about it. It didn't move the needle. Games will be on. I would check social media. Nobody's discussing it. Now, I understand that there's algorithms and shit like that, but it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It should usually be able to control the market space on what's going on. Now, I guess Adam Silver's next excuse, because his first excuse was, oh my God, there was an election going on, you know, and the top half of the year, there's an election going on. It was the 4-year period of an election, so the ratings is going to be down. Now his excuse is going to be, oh my God, we sent B-2 bombers over into Iran to bomb their nuclear facilities. Like, can you guys please give us a break? You know, the ratings are supposed to be down. We're dealing with American politics. Like, oh, please, dude, please. The finals was a disaster. That's just what the fact of the matter is. The finals was an absolute disaster. There's nobody out there that can convince me otherwise, dog. There's not one game that we remember outside of Halliburton hitting that ugly ass free throw nail shot that he shot in game 1. Not one good finals game after that. I mean, I'm not saying the games weren't good. I'm saying nothing memorable. So now I know there's people on social media talking about, oh, you're not a real this fan. You're not a real Hooper fan. We don't give a fuck. This is entertainment at the end of the day. Their job is to entertain us, to get TV deals, and etc. Like, I don't give a fuck, man. I watch basketball till I've been blue in the face before. You know what I'm saying? I love basketball. But the fact of the matter is the quality and the product that they're giving us is no fucking good. You got autism running through the NBA rampant. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it's affecting everything. You know, we got horrible final speeches, horrible final parades, because like I said, the Oklahoma City Thunder are like the most spectrum-based team that I could ever think of. None of them, you know, they're even so weird. The fuckers are so weird that they all do interviews together. You know what I'm saying? They get so shy and camera shy that they all sit up there and do group interviews together. Then they're even their fucking post-celebratory locker room thing. They weren't popping champagne. It's just terrible all around. Hats were terrible, low budget. They even joked about how low budget the hats are. I seen the video of the parade, terrible. Everything is about it is terrible. So what we're going to do collectively, guys, is we're going to pretend that this finals didn't happen. We're going to ignore it, and we're not going to count it. So Shay, as far as I'm concerned, you're a one-time MVP, one-time scoring champ, and that's it. That's it. We're done. We're done. This NBA season is bueno. Everybody got hurt. Low ratings. Your commissioner said election season. Now he's blaming bombs over Baghdad. So you know what? Cool. I'll give you guys a fresh start. Y'all better fix that All-Star game, but this year don't count. The 2025 champions, unknown, unmarked, doesn't count. That's as far as Stephen is concerned. I don't care. LOL. I know you love Caruso shitting on the bubble ring. He said I got a real one. I did love that. You know what I loved more than that? I did love that. And it's just, oh my goodness, so much going on. Let me see. I'll show you what I did love. I'm going to get killed for this, but guess what? I don't care. I don't care. Let's see here. There we go. Now I'm just
someone else. You just don't do it. That's how you are, LeBron. You don't even do it in Paris. You was pushing those niggas away like, get out of here, LeBron. Go back to LA. Don't come to New York with that LeBron. You never beat Jordan. You never beat Jordan, my Oh, Kobe. You bum. Oh, Kobe, you bum. Get out of here.
Oh, brother. Now, I know people are out there saying this is not right. You know, athletes shouldn't be treated like that, especially with black athletes and all this and all that, which, yeah, you know, partially true. He said, nah, that was corny, LOL. I'm just saying, well, you know, he said he's a loser for sure, right? We know fans heckle and stuff like that. You know what? Cringe as fuck. I disagree. This is what happens, or I don't disagree, but my point in showing this is to show that there is a lack of respect to LeBron James. And Shane, I would love to get your opinion on this, and I meant to ask you, but I'll ask you this on air. For some reason, my algorithm is showing me bad John Jones PR. I'm getting I want to get the GOAT side. I'm not a real big UFC buff. I don't know much about UFC. Shout out to John Jones. I should have mentioned that, right? He retired. I think he announced his retirement, and then as soon as he announced his retirement, we sent bombs off in Iran. You know, so he got overshadowed. But you know, from my reading and shit like that, there's a lot of people saying he's a ducker, he's a PED user, this and that. Fuck this guy. And I'm like, man, I've only known this man as to be the best there is, best there was, right? And now I understand that there's two sides to every coin, and that even as far as, well, I guess what I want to say is what made Jordan so great, what made Michael Jackson so great, what made our all-time great so great, Brady's not even in this discussion, is that they were so universally recognized as the GOAT, even their enemies, even their haters, even their number one adorers, they had to bow down and kiss the ring, right? And in this instance, we get LeBron James is having to deal with, I think a portion of LeBron James doesn't want to retire because he is retiring on such a low note. And I know that there was Kobe's last few years. He wasn't that good. Duncan was trash his last few years. KG was trash. Hakeem was god awful his last few years. Charles Barkley, don't get me started. That boy couldn't stay away from a box of Krispy Kremes to save his life his last few years. Jordan's last few years were pretty good, but not as great as we are used to. But there is something. Paul Pierce was terrible. There's some Dirk Nowitzki. I can go on and on. But there's something about keeping your legacy intact and retiring a certain way, because LeBron James and his camp does not understand the importance of. They don't understand what legacy is about. They think legacy is about attaching yourself to numbers and like putting up points on the board. And not literal points, but just putting up achievements and stats on the board. But that is not what legacy is about. When we talk legacy, when we talk GOATs and shit like that, a lot of it is what have you done for me lately? But majority of it is what stuck with us. You know what I'm saying? How do you leave the game? How do we remember you as you leave the game? And like, I couldn't tell you Dirk Nowitzki's last year, his stats. I couldn't tell you Kobe Bryant's last. I mean, we know he scored 60 his last game, but LeBron James and his camp are so obsessed with putting points on the board and putting tallies and putting feathers in their caps and like these tangible stats and stuff like that. They really have done a horrible job with his legacy the last few years. Shane says, in my opinion, the outrage media and result of UFC popularity growing to the casuals over the last couple of years who weren't really there during John's reign. The fighters have come out in unison with, I'm sure you're coming up with something else. So you're saying that the fighters, it's one of them, like the fighters know, the players know, the people that have combated with this man knows he's the GOAT. The fans are a little bit mad because he shortchanged them probably with this Tom Aspinall thing. So I could see that. But I was just shocked reading some of the comments, and it wasn't one section. It was like my algorithm kept feeding me shit over the last couple of days, where I'm like, damn, man, like, it's like, again, when I'm talking about LeBron James and how you leave your legacy and stuff like that, it's essentially just like, approval ratings, right? And you hope to, as far when you retire, you want your approval rating to be as damn near close to high as possible, especially when you announce retirement, especially when you're done. You should get all the flowers. And that's why I'll be really, really curious to see how LeBron James goes out. And I don't mean a 40-point triple-double. I don't mean none of that dumb shit. I just mean when he announces his retirement, will he get the respect and the flowers that he deserves? Because this video that I showed you is really, really telling to me, because Kobe and Mike was not talked to like that publicly. I can assure you that. Now, I'm sure there's stragglers and hecklers and stuff like that who have made little funny comments, sly little shit here and there maybe, but never like a whole complete shakedown where a nigga is going in on you like that. Ever, ever, ever. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Shane says praise and saying the GOAT, only some whack pundits coming out trying to smut his name, but GOATs like Khabib have said, well done, GOAT. Bingo. You hit it on the head, left a bad taste in their mouth. Yeah, so but that's part of your legacy, man. That's part of PR. That's part of popularity and all that shit, man. And that gets me to my next topic, and my final topic of today is this whole obsession. And I haven't spent a lot of time on it because I got six senses. I see dead people, right? And as sure as shit comes out of my mouth, it transpires. But this whole obsession, I'm about to go in with it. This whole obsession with using Kobe Bryant's name, how y'all use Tupac's name, is really bothering me. It bothers me so much that I've been quiet. And that's when I'm pretty bothered. Shane says, not for nothing, we don't care about his sport opinion. But Joe Budden just said he thinks Bron's retirement will be bigger and more extravagant than Kobe's, which I disagree with. But gives you an idea of what some people think. Yeah, Joe's wrong. He's right in the idea of it being extravagant, but it being Like bigger and better, it's not going to be. But that I've already predicted that. I predicted that 5 years ago that Kobe laid a blueprint as far as a farewell tour. Jordan didn't get that. Nobody got a farewell tour like Kobe did. So Kobe, again, being Kobe Bryant, who I would love to in a second make the case that he probably, I mean, obviously Jordan, but it's a close second when you come to Kobe Bryant and influence. Now, obviously he died, and that have played a big part in it, but that's also a part of your influence. But Kobe laid a blueprint for Bron to be able to catapult off of, which LeBron will. He'll announce it and probably have a farewell tour, and it'll be super extravagant, but it'll be more bought and paid for. You know what I'm saying? It'll be more, less genuine. It'll be more contrived, and I'll be able to see it, and I'll say, this is disgusting. And then everybody will say, what, bro? You always hating, bro. You always hating. And I'll be right and exact again. Shane says, yeah, it will be more of a production, but not as genuine. Kobe's was beautiful, even form outside looking in, not being a Kobe fan. Exactly. Yeah. It was more just like he announced his retirement in like November, like second month of the year, random as fuck. He was weighing on it. A lot of people didn't know, and he announced it, and then boom, like farewell tour start happening. City after city after city sold out. Fans giving him his flowers and shit like that. It was way more genuine. And that's where my problem lies with a lot of the Kobe debate, is that you guys ain't gonna sit here and try to y'all ain't gonna do two things. Y'all aren't gonna be able to write him out of history as one of the greats of all time. Debating about a top 10, a top 5, and all that shit. But it's asinine to me that you guys are able to milk and eat off of this man as much as you guys are able to. There's nobody outside of Jordan that the NBA, maybe even before. Listen, man, there's not a podcast. There's not an NBA podcast. There's not an NBA player that goes on a podcast and sits down with somebody where they don't mention. So tell me what your relationship was like with Kobe Bryant. And they go on and on about this inspirational story. That was the joke when he first died, the first couple of years. Oh my God, how many stories about Kobe can y'all come up with? Or how many times do we hear the same Kobe inspirational stories, right? But now, for the last couple of years, it's been tug of war between fan bases on where does he rank? Where does he rank? Man, let this man rest, y'all. He fell out of a motherfucking helicopter with his daughter, okay? And y'all cannot literally breathe without bringing him up on one of y'all's podcasts every single episode. And I'm talking to Kobe. I'm talking to Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. I'm talking to Quentin Richardson and Darius Mine. I'm talking to Jeff Teague, and I'm talking to Gilbert Arenas and all of these cats, even regular civilian podcasts, man. I get on TikTok, I get on Facebook, and it's just podcast after podcast. It's Kobe's name. Anytime we talk about NBA, Kobe this, Kobe in every list. Kobe. It's like just such a hot buzz thing. And what's funny is that, we did this in hip hop with Tupac. Tupac was like the ghost that just like haunted. He still haunts hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop can't breathe without mentioning Tupac's name. And I'm not going to let, on one hand, allow y'all to do that. And then devalue somebody's legacy when that's part of his legacy. The fact that y'all can't breathe, talk, or have a discussion without mentioning this man's name, that's part of your legacy. You know what I'm saying? Influence is part of your legacy. How you move the game forward is part of your legacy. The stats and the accolades is one fucking aspect. What part of this don't you guys see? I don't know if you fucking idiots cannot see the bigger picture or not, but legacy is so much more than about the tangible things. When we talk about Abraham Lincoln and shit, do we know his approval rating? You know what I'm saying? No, it's about the legacy you left behind, what we remember you as. That is legacy. So that is A, my advice to LeBron and his camp. But B, to all you podcasters and former NBA players and stuff like that, please stop pressing the Kobe Bryant button. Please, because on one hand, y'all can't sell a motherfucker. Y'all can't get a view without mentioning this motherfucker's name. But then on the other hand, when it comes time for lists and debates and shit like that, y'all got Oscar Robertson over him. No, bring up Oscar Robertson to get you views then. Bring up Oscar Robertson to sell you tickets then. Bring up these people that y'all think are greater than this man, but they don't move the needle. And in every list we see, Kobe Bryant's name cannot go without being mentioned. We seen a fucking Stat come out in the finals this year. Most blocks for a player. They start finally giving Kobe the benefit of the doubt with these LeBron stats, where it's really arbitrary. Oh, most blocks in the NBA finals. I can't even remember the arbitrary stat, but guess who was number 2? It was Kobe Bryant. It wasn't Shaq. It wasn't Tim Duncan. It wasn't Hakeem Olajuwon. It wasn't Michael Jordan. It wasn't Magic Johnson. It wasn't Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It was Serge Ibaka and then Kobe Bryant. Okay, and it's things like that to where I've been seeing the writing on the wall before my man even passed. I already seen, like Shane is saying here about Johnny Bones, that there's a concentrated effort in from the fans and shit. Let me see what Shane said. Putting some mud on his name. That's what Shane said about Johnny Bones. That's been going on with Kobe Bryant's career since, his whole career. Now we're getting a debate on Gil's Arenas about the whole Shaq and Kobe narrative, which is so played out. I don't even waste my breath with that here, right? And then the Tracy McGrady conversation on, sitting up there with them and talking about whether he could have won and what he could have done and stuff like that. And that's where people continuously get it wrong. They get it wrong. I famously, well, not famously, but I told Hunter this a long time ago about Tom Brady. He was a huge Tom Brady hater. And we used to have these debates about Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. And he used to tell me about, Belichick's influence and Belichick deserving more of the credit and stuff like that. And I told him about A Perfect Marriage. And I brought up Mike and Phil's relationship. I brought up Kobe's and Phil's relationship. And then I've also told him that, it's some of the intangible things that we don't see, that we don't have the access to see, that can dictate champions and what don't dictate champions. Was you up late at night? How do you influence all 52 guys in the locker room? How do you influence them on the practice field? It's all these different intangible things like that. And what we know about Kobe Bryant that y'all have milked for the last 5 years is his intangibles are very, very high. So Mr. McGrady, Mr. Arenas, Mr. whoever it is, Kevin Durant and LeBron and Kurt, all these people out there, please understand that as easy as it is to say on paper, yeah, we could have done this with Shaq and stuff like that. What could you have done? Could you have dealt with Shaq's attitude? Could you have dealt with Phil Jackson, suppressing your talent and stuff like that to accommodate a big, greedy, selfish motherfucker getting all the spotlight and attention? Could you have sacrificed 3 chances could you have been called selfish all throughout the media, all throughout the league, called a selfish ball hog and stuff like that, but then on the other hand, sacrifice stat after stat and accolade after accolade in order to win these 3 championships? And then on the flip side of that, years down the road, people try to use that against you and say that you're not this guy, that you're not a number 1 option, you're a sidekick because you sacrificed, because it was inept. I mean, that was in order for you to win championships, with two alpha males, you took the back seat. But on the other hand, y'all call this man selfish and say he's greedy and a ball hog and all this stuff. But then on the other hand, y'all say that he was a sidekick. I don't understand these things, right? So my point is that it's these intangible things that it takes in order for you to win a championship. So Mr. McGrady, yes, it's easy on paper. If I go throw you and Shaq together on 2K, maybe y'all can win, but maybe not. It's intangibles. We know you don't work as hard. We know you don't practice as hard. What was you going to be the one to speak up on Shaq when he was getting surgery on company time? Was you going to be the one to speak up on Shaq when he was out partying too late and stuff like that? Was you going to be in the gym at 4 a.m. putting up shots, getting the rest of the team ready? It's those intangible things that we all know Kobe Bryant did and does, or I should say did, that y'all tried to not, since it's not a tangible thing, y'all don't want to give nobody credit for. It's only about what kind of points you put on the board. What kind of rebounds did you give us? What kind of assists did you give us? Are you guys fucking idiots? This is not 2K. Have you guys ever played team fucking sports? Have you guys ever ran a business? Have you guys ever been in a team setting? There's so much intangible things that you have to do in order for you to get from one place to another and accomplish goals. There's a lot of intangible things, and those tangible things may not show up on a fucking stat sheet, but when we're talking about championships, you got to account for intangible things, guys. You have to account for that. So, like I said, all you pundits out there, all you fucking retards out there, I'm going to clip this part up for you guys with your brilliant asses. You guys have fun with your James Harden stats and your 29 points and 53% shooting and shit like that. But somebody that has super high intangibles, super high skill, super high work ethic, super consistent, give me that person every day of the week. That's why I was pro Tom Brady over fucking Aaron Rodgers and pro Tom Brady over fucking Peyton Manning when it wasn't popular, because I seen intangibles in this man. It's a talent in knowing how to win and knowing how to sacrifice to win. A lot of you fucking idiots out there don't know how to do it. That's why you're stuck in the same position that you guys are in today, because you guys don't know how to shut the fuck up sometimes and sacrifice in order to have some sort of success in your life. Okay? So I'm sick of the discussion. Please end it. This man is passed on, and the only time you guys use him is for buzz and media hype. Enough is enough. Your cover has been pulled. We've had enough. KD, please retire, dude. You're ruining it. And for anybody out there watching, please don't fall for another KD ploy. He is not going to win a title with the Houston Rockets. And the Houston Rockets is about as dumb as the fucking LA Clippers was when they traded Paul George for SGA. Look at where that got them. How the fuck did the Houston Rockets end up getting KD and 2 draft picks for fucking Jalen Green from the Phoenix Suns? Now, the Phoenix Suns, you are so goddamn stupid. Why would you give them draft picks for this old washed up bum? That's what KD is. He's a 30-point bum, okay? He doesn't influence winning. He doesn't even care about winning. He has no shot at winning anything. Shane says he ain't winning shit. He's absolutely not winning shit. If you couldn't win with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and Chris Paul and all these fucking people, you're done. All KD done is complete the Rainbow Coalition. He's played for 5 fucking teams now. OKC, Seattle, OKC, Warriors, Brooklyn, Suns, now the Houston Rockets. And guess what, man? If you go to 5 different teams and the locker room stink every time you leave the locker room, guess what? You might be the one leaving the trail of stank, nigga. And it's you, okay? We just seen the Oklahoma City Thunder win a fucking championship on some homegrown shit. You complaining about Russell Westbrook in the we gave you 1 pass, but then you went to Golden State, which was already a built foundation, and you win championships. Then you famously go to Brooklyn, and you and Kyrie said, y'all famously said y'all don't need a coach when y'all hire Steve Nash. We don't even need a coach. Then that flunks out, right? Then y'all call y'all's buddy James Harden over there, and is that not enough? That not enough, right? Then you go to Phoenix with Chris Paul and Devin Booker. And then the coach is the problem there. Y'all get Budenholzer fired. Y'all get Frank Lewin. Y'all get Budenholzer fired. Then y'all get Lawrence. Y'all get the former Lakers coach fired. I can't remember his name right now. Right? And the Suns are spiraling. Y'all don't even make the playoffs this year, right? It's been failure after failure. And then all KD got to do, he gonna clip this up. He gonna be under my post attacking me. And it's like, that's fair game. I don't mind. My glasses are smudgy. I'm in my basement. You can attack me, but it don't matter. I still see your shortcomings, and I'm still going to highlight them. And I see you exactly for what you are. Exactly for what you are. You're a fraud, dude. But when it comes in the basketball sense. Now, your personal ventures and your personal life, I ain't gonna get into all that. I'm just saying, everywhere you go, there you are, and you ain't been shit unless you had a situation where you needed it. And I'm not even that type of guy, because my guy was accused of that the whole time. You ain't shit without Shaq and Phil. I'm not even that guy, but I'm just saying, when it comes to KD, all this team hopping shit that you doing and complaining everywhere you go and no situation is good enough for you, man, I'm cool. I've been cool off of you. Been cool. So for all you KD lovers out there, Tracy McGrady, stat boy lovers out there, this ain't the podcast or stream for you guys. You guys are done, finished, finito, okay? You guys don't understand anything about what it takes on running a successful operation or anything clear as day, because you guys are only about tangible things. You guys are only about leaving evidence of your influence. You guys aren't actually about influencing and doing the work for certain things. My guy was actually about influencing and doing the work for things. Again, like I said at the top, I can make the case that my guy is the most influential basketball player that there ever is, Speaking of that, Tyrese Halliburton gave Kobe Bryant a shout out, tearing his Achilles. He posted Kobe Bryant's tweets. It's just all that breathing that spirit back into the game that Kobe did and shit like that, moving the game forward. That's part of your legacy. And they said he orchestrated that moves. Okay, so you went where he's been where he's wanted. He keeps following Kyrie. I don't know if Kyrie fucking or not, man. He been following Kyrie around. He been following all his buddies around. I don't know what's going on, KD. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. Like all we saying is wherever you go, there you are, buddy. You gonna have to step up and lead. It ain't gonna be a Min Thompson. I know y'all got I'm Udoka and shit like that, but he likes tough play. You gonna have to step up and lead. You ain't go. We don't care about you shooting in the fucking club and you just a hooper and you. I just want to show up and hoop. I just want to show up and hoop. I just want to show up and hoop. You're getting paid 30 million, 50, 40 million. Listen, man. Listen. Couldn't be me. I'll cut that, boy. Couldn't be me. Anything else? Anything else y'all want to discuss? I'll save the Fed Reserve tomorrow. I'll save some Doge findings for tomorrow. I'll save some other shit for tomorrow. But that's pretty much all I got for today. He said Amin Thompson requested a trade today. Did he? I'd say, listen, I'll be getting the fuck out of Dodge as well, man. Amin Thompson said absolutely not. He said absolutely not. We just made the fucking playoffs for the first time. He about to head to motherfucking Detroit with his brother. I don't blame him. I'll get out of Dodge from KD too, man. KD, he got some bad juju following him or some shit, man. Everybody's dealing with the repercussion of his karma for leaving OKC the first stint. So everywhere he goes, team destroyer, team destroyer. They used to call T.O. the team destroyer. That's KD's new nickname for me, team destroyer. Team destroyer. Other than that, man, I'm cool. We got war brewing. Like I said, Netanyahu got his hands all over Trump. I think Trump's getting played like a fiddle. I think they playing Trump amongst himself. I told you guys that's the best way to get a Gemini, make him fight amongst himself. And I think that they're doing that. Trump is about to he about to get off this airplane, this Air Force One today, see these reports about this nuclear facility being rebuilt in 90 days, and he's going to be pissed. Iran, your best bet is to try to turn the other cheek. Again, try to highlight all of America's U.S. foreign policy iniquities as well as Israel's war crimes. Continue to highlight that to the UN and to the international criminal courts. I know that we're not a member of that and shit like that. We don't abide in nobody's rules, but it'd be good to put that on TV. It'd be good for the world to see that, right? So they understand the operations going on into annexing that territory. Like Shane said, I'm going to watch that video about the Turkey guy in that territory. There's a big land grab going on. That's essentially what's going on, guys. Is there's a big land grab going on. They're shaking up. I mean, this is what all the World War. I mean, we're back-to-back champs, right? World War I, World War II, back-to-back champs. We're undefeated back-to-back champs. But that's what these wars are fought over. Is shaking up the global order of things. And when that happens, man, there's territory on the line and shit like that. I've seen apparently immigration, police, and shit like that. Deportations going on in the city that I'm existing in today. So we'll keep an eye out for that. There'll be more on that. Like I said, that deadline of beginning of August is coming up very, very soon. It is going to get very, very chaotic down here potentially. And it's just something to keep our eye on, man, and be aware of. But yeah, and then the NBA Finals, I think, was a big dud. I think it'd go down as the least memorable finals of the 2020s. And that's I mean, it's been a bad 5 years for the NBA Finals. And Adam Silver, stop using excuses, man. We talk about looking in the mirror with KD and all these other players. He needs to do some tough looking in the mirror. And then lastly, like I said, I'm so sick of you fanboys out there, secret Kobe Bryant fanboys. And I don't care about you guys discussing his leg. I don't care about that shit, but I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to sit back and allow you guys on one hand to use him as a button to get views and clicks. And because you guys know that he generates all of this buzz and he generates all of this information and this hype and shit like that. And then on the other hand, admit him from your greatest of all time list and try to slight him just because of paid vendettas paid things that you guys have against this man. I won't allow it no more. So yeah, there's that. But I'm going to be probably streaming tomorrow or definitely Thursday. I should have the rest of the gang calling in, and we can really go back and forth on a lot of this foreign policy stuff going on in the Middle East. And we might need to touch people up on what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. Like Zach mentioned earlier on here, that Russia is involved in this in somehow, some way, trying to supply Iran with some weapons or some sort of support. China is also involved. Shane mentioned the Strait of Hormuz potentially being blocked by the end of this week. And we will see the rise of oil and gas prices once that is done, and we will see an effect on the global market. But that's really pretty much all I have for today. Definitely need to give people an update on what's going on over in Burkina Faso as well. That's my guy. So I will be coming with that either today or tomorrow. But as you guys know, please like and comment and subscribe. Share the page as well, man. I appreciate everybody for